Single dad veteran denied first-class seat. 12 minutes later, he saves everyone on board. The airport was buzzing that morning, families rushing, phones ringing, coffee spilling. Among the crowd stood Michael Hayes, a single dad and former Air Force combat medic, holding his daughter's pink backpack. He wasn't a man of luxury, his hands were calloused, his jeans faded, but he had a calmness about him that made people look twice. He was taking his 9-year-old daughter Lily on her first flight since her mother's passing. They'd saved for months for this trip, a small vacation to start over. When they reached the gate, the attendant smiled at Lily. "You must be excited, sweetheart." Lily nodded shyly. "It's our first plane ride." But just before boarding, Michael's name was called on the speaker. "Sir, there's been a mix-up. You're not in first class anymore, we'll have to move you to economy." Act 1, The Denial. Michael frowned slightly. "I paid for those seats months ago." The attendant avoided eye contact. "A corporate client needed them. I'm really sorry." He glanced at Lily, who looked up at him nervously. He smiled softly. "It's okay, sweetheart. We'll still get there." As they walked past the first-class cabin, Michael noticed the man who'd taken his seat, a loud, arrogant executive barking orders into his phone. "Can you believe this?" the man said to the flight attendant. "They almost gave my seat to some random nobody." Michael said nothing. He just helped Lily buckle up and smiled reassuringly. Act 2, The Flight. 30 minutes after takeoff, the seatbelt sign blinked off. Lily giggled, pressing her face to the window. "Daddy, we're above the clouds." Michael chuckled. "Yeah. That's where angels rest, kiddo." But then a sharp boom echoed through the cabin. The plane jerked violently, oxygen masks dropped, passengers screamed. A flight attendant ran past, shouting into her radio, "Engine 1 is on fire. We've lost hydraulics." Lily screamed, clutching her father's arm. Michael's soldier instincts kicked in instantly. He ripped off his seatbelt and told her, "Stay low. Keep the mask on, baby." Then he ran toward the cockpit. Act 3, The Veteran Returns. A terrified attendant tried to block him. "Sir, you can't." He flashed his old military ID. U.S. Air Force Combat Rescue. "You need me right now." The pilot's door swung open, alarms blaring, warning lights flashing. One of the co-pilots was injured, blood on his forehead. Michael took control of the situation with calm precision. "Give me your comms. I'll handle the mayday. You focus on manual control." The captain stared in disbelief. "You've done this before?" Michael nodded once. "Too many times." Act 4, The 12 Minutes. For the next 12 minutes, Michael worked non-stop. He guided the pilots, calmed passengers over the intercom, and stabilized the injured co-pilot using the first aid kit. When the cabin pressure began dropping, he noticed the fuel imbalance on the screen. "Dump left tank, switch to auxiliary, and keep nose down 15 degrees, he commanded. The captain followed his orders, and the aircraft leveled out. Below, the city lights grew larger as they prepared for an emergency landing. Act V, The Landing. The plane hit the runway hard, tires screeching. Luggage flew, people screamed, but somehow, miraculously, the jet slowed to a stop. Then came silence. Not a single life lost. As the passengers began to cheer and cry, Michael quietly checked Lily, safe, unhurt, eyes wide in awe. "Daddy, you saved us." He smiled faintly. "No, kiddo. We made it." Act 6, The Aftermath. When emergency crews boarded, reporters were already gathering outside the terminal. The captain pointed to Michael. "This man, this veteran, saved over 200 lives today." The arrogant businessman from first class stood frozen. He walked up slowly, shame written all over his face. "Sir, I owe you an apology. I took your seat." Michael looked at him calmly. "You can keep it. I don't need first class to do what's right." Epilogue. Hours later, as the passengers reunited with loved ones, Michael sat with Lily on the tarmac steps, watching the sunrise. She leaned on his shoulder. "Mom would be proud, right?" He looked at the glowing sky and whispered, "Yeah, sweetheart." She would. And somewhere above the clouds, the same ones they'd admired earlier, peace finally found a soldier who had spent his life saving others. Dizzy moral. Sometimes the world forgets the quiet heroes among us. But when everything falls apart, it's those same heroes who hold it all together. Continuation, Part 2, The Hero No One Expected. The airport terminal was still in chaos. Reporters swarmed the scene, passengers wept, paramedics rushed the injured co-pilot away. In the middle of it all sat Michael Hayes, holding his daughter Lily close, his uniform jacket draped over her shoulders. She whispered softly, "Daddy, everyone's looking at you." He smiled gently. "That's okay, sweetheart. Let them look at you. You were braver than most adults today." The news breaks. By noon, every major news channel had the story. Veteran saves entire plane after mid-air engine failure. Headlines spread online, passengers posted videos of Michael in the cockpit, his voice steady as he issued commands. The world saw not a soldier, but a father who stayed calm when everyone else lost hope. Comment sections flooded with praise. "We need more men like him. A real American hero. He was denied first class, but he proved he's first class where it matters most." The airline's response. The next day, the airline's CEO requested to meet him personally. When Michael arrived, wearing his worn-out jacket and jeans, executives in suits lined the boardroom. "Mr. Hayes," the CEO began awkwardly, "we owe you an apology, and a lot more. You saved not only our passengers but our reputation." Michael simply nodded. "All I care about is my daughter. She got home safe." The CEO smiled nervously. "At least let us give you a lifetime of free flights. First class, of course." Michael chuckled. "Thanks, but I prefer to sit with my kid." Everyone laughed, but in that moment, they knew this man wasn't after fame or favors. The recognition. A week later, the mayor held a public ceremony at the city square. Thousands gathered, waving flags, clapping, cheering. Lily stood proudly beside her dad as the mayor placed a medal around his neck. "For courage in crisis, and for proving that true heroes never retire, we honor Staff Sergeant Michael Hayes." The crowd erupted in applause. Michael raised his daughter's hand. "This one's for her and for every soldier's family who keeps believing we come home for a reason." The man from first class. After the ceremony, a familiar voice called out. It was the businessman, the man who had taken his first-class seat. He looked humbled, a small box in his hand. "I wanted to thank you properly." Inside was a gold bracelet engraved with the words, "Honor isn't in where you sit, it's in what you do." Michael smiled, shook his hand, and said quietly, "You learned faster than most." Back at the diner. A few months later, Michael returned to his small-town diner job. Locals recognized him immediately, some asked for photos, others just wanted to shake his hand. But Michael always said the same thing. "I'm no celebrity. I'm just a dad who didn't forget his training." He hung the medal behind the counter, not for pride, but as a reminder of what calm courage looks like. A stranger's visit. One afternoon, a man in uniform walked in. "Sir," he said, "I was the ground control officer that day. I heard your voice over the comms. You saved hundreds of lives, including mine. My wife was on that plane." Michael stood silent for a moment, then shook his hand. "Guess we were all in the same fight, just different sides of the radio." The man saluted. "The world needs more men like you." Lily's school speech. Months later, Lily stood on her school stage during Hero Day. When her turn came, she said, "My hero isn't in movies or books. He's my dad. He doesn't wear a cape. He just helps people even when they're strangers." The entire auditorium went silent, then clapped endlessly. Michael wiped a tear quietly in the back row. A quiet night. That evening, Michael sat outside under the stars, the same sky they had flown through. Lily slept beside him on a blanket, the gold bracelet shining faintly under the moon. He whispered softly, "You see, baby? Sometimes God takes away your seat in first class, so you can stand where you're needed most." Epilogue. The story of that flight became legend not because of fame or medals, but because it reminded people that